Am I the idiot for calling my daughter my first girl? My husband and I have 4 sons together. I am currently pregnant with baby number 5, and we had a small gender reveal party last weekend where we found out we are having a girl. My husband has 3 children with his ex-wife, 2 sons and a daughter. So, although this baby will be my first girl, it is not my husband's. All the kids, including my stepdaughter, were super happy to find out the baby is going to be a girl. She has wanted all my babies to be girls, and finally at 17 she is going to have a little sister. Yesterday I posted on my Instagram photos from the gender reveal, and in my caption, I commented about how excited I am to have my first girl. A few hours later my stepchildren's mom DM'd me a long paragraph in which she called me insensitive and rude for acting like this baby was mine and my husband's first girl when he already has a daughter. I replied to her and told her I know it's not his first daughter, but it is mine and it is still a new experience for me. She counted that myself and my husband were sidelining her daughter for this new baby girl. I didn't reply to her after that. I brought up the messages to my husband, and although he took my side, he also noted that I did to some extent already have a daughter, and that he understands where his ex is coming from. Someone else also commented on my post telling me it wasn't really my first girl. I love my stepchildren and I have a great relationship with my stepdaughter. My stepdaughter and I have a great bond and spend a lot of time together, and I don't see that changing with a new baby. However, I didn't raise her. I met her when she was already 7, and she is only with us 50% of the time. I could understand if their mom was upset I said our first girl, but I didn't, because I acknowledge that my husband has already raised a girl, whereas I have been an important part of that girl's life but not her mother. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I am a step-parent, currently pregnant with my first. Like you, I never use our, because I respect the relationship my stepkids have with my husband, but it's also important to acknowledge this is new for me. I also grew up a stepchild, and never considered myself to be the daughter of either of my stepparents. They were just people that my parents loved and chose, not me. Given it sounds like she has good relationships with both of her parents, she probably doesn't view you as mom, and instead her mother is blowing this up. Not the idiot. It's a fact this is your first girl. You're not negating your stepdaughter. Would her mother have been okay with you calling your stepdaughter my first daughter? I bet she would have told you she's not your daughter, and you were trying to act like her mom, not her stepmom. Because in reality that would have been insensitive and insulting to her as the mother of that child if you had called your stepdaughter as your own. You aren't being malicious or trying to minimize your stepdaughter's role in the family, you're just stating a fact. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for punishing my family over not paying my bills? I, female 27, have been studying for 7 years. I'm slower than most because I have to work for 2 to 3 days a week to pay my bills since I live alone. My father and his wife, 50s, used to send me money every month until I turned 25 as they received some allowance from the state, and they also contributed a fixed amount every month. This stopped when I was 25. My mother, female 47, and her husband, male 47, always refused to contribute a fixed amount. They have been paying some bills when I struggle, 1 to 2 a year and max $150, until I turned 25. They are well off, mansion, vacation houses, multiple cars. However, I always had to beg for the money every time I asked for it. They would ask me questions like, why do I need it? Can I ask my dad instead? Can some friends lend me the money? So naturally I stopped asking them. However, there was one time 3 years ago I had a painful cavity and asked my mother for $150 to go to the dentist. She refused, so I asked my dad, who paid for the dentist. I tried to talk it over with my mother, saying I was disappointed she did not help me. She said they had to save for my half-siblings, male 12, female 7, college funds. She also said that for all the times her and her husband helped me, they expected me to help my siblings pay for college as well. I said I would help as much as I was able to, as 1, they are not my children, and 2, I have 3 sisters on my dad's side that will probably need more financial help since my dad is not well off. She was kind of angry and called me selfish after I said that, but we left it at that. Fast forward to now, I was speaking with my mom about the death of her husband's father, which happened in 2015, the year I started studying. She mentioned how he set up a trust fund with $200,000 for each of his grandchildren, my half-brother and sister included. I was shocked. I never heard of this trust fund before, but said nothing since the money wasn't for me anyway. I asked her why. She told me they had to save for siblings' college fund when their funds were already more than enough. I said I was disappointed they did not help me out more. She told me I should just be grateful that my brother and sister will not have to struggle like I did, and that I was not entitled to their money, and it was normal I had to work while studying. I have been cold towards her, and have not been visiting them as much since then, and she has been complaining about it, saying I am punishing them. I tried to keep contact with my brother and sister by phone though. I talked about it with my partner and some friends who all told me I have every right to not go to their place. Every time I try to bring it up with my mother, she dismisses my concerns and says I am in the wrong for punishing my half-siblings and her husband for having a trust fund. So, am I the idiot for punishing my family over not paying my bills? Edit. Thanks everyone for your point of view. It gave some much-needed reality check as well as pointed out I also have no obligation to my parents. Some questions. Why am I living alone? I said I live alone in the sense of I don't live with either of my parents. I'm currently living in a flat share and pay my rent $800 a month. I live in Switzerland, so this amount for rent is normal. I can't live at my father's because he had a child when I turned 17 and his place was full. I can't live at my mother's place either because she said my lifestyle as a young adult/student would not be compatible with young children. I agreed, as I had to look after my siblings a lot, and it was quite a handful during high school. It was for the best that I leave. I should also add that my parents have been divorced since I was 3 and both remarried their current partner when I was 5. So my stepdad is my second father and my stepmom is my second mother. It's not a problem if my step-parents don't want to pay for me or anything. The amounts. My father has been receiving $250 a month because I study. He has been contributing $100 a month on top of that. So that's $350 from him. I know that my mother also receives some money from the government, but I don't know how much because she never told me and also never gave it to me, because she would give me money from time to time. Probably less than my father. Typical student budget for my area is around $2,200 a month. Does my mother work? No, she's a stay-at-home mom, but according to what she told me, she is entitled to half of the household's income, except inheritance. I should also add that my parents have no obligation to give you money. In my country there is a law that parents have to support you until you are finished with your first cycle of formation, until you have a proper job title like engineer. Especially since they kind of both kicked me out at 18, I expected them to be nice and help me out for a time. What do you study? I am studying to be a high school teacher. In my country that's a 3-year bachelor, 2-year master's and 1-year pedagogic formation full-time. I am right now finishing the pedagogic formation. I graduated high school at 19, normal age here, and spent a whole year working full-time as a cashier before starting my studies. Also, I needed the $150 at 23. I am now 27 and financially independent for the last 2 years. I have been paying my father's back for the money he gave me. I hope this clarifies things a bit. You're the idiot, you're not entitled to anyone's money no matter how much of it they may seem to have. It is normal to work during college and you only work 2 to 3 days a week. You're 27, not 18. If you were younger, I'd feel a little differently, but it's time to figure your own poop out. Not the idiot. Honestly, I'd just stop interacting with my mother at this point. It's clear she doesn't really care about you in any meaningful way. Making your child have to beg and plead for help is pathetic. She probably doesn't really want to view you as her daughter, instead choosing to focus on the children she has with her current husband. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for telling my cousin she isn't my aunt's real child? Am I the idiot? I've been with my boyfriend for almost 2 years now. He has a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old with his ex-girlfriend and has full custody. She gets them every other weekend. I met his kids a year ago and have been building a relationship with them. We're both 23 and young, but we're both mature and stable. He owns his own house and business, and I am in sonography school. We openly talk about marriage and are planning to elope on his birthday this summer, and have been wearing wedding bands. Since we're going straight to marriage, I never called him my fiancé nor announced it online. Only close friends and family know we're getting married. We've also talked about me adopting his kids one day. I have a cousin whom I grew up with, and we were really close when we were younger but grew apart during high school. She's adopted by my aunt and uncle. At a family gathering a few days ago we ran into each other after not seeing each other for almost 2 years. Since we're the closest cousins in age there we were talking the whole time. It was awkward. She asks about my boyfriend and I talking about our upcoming elopement and other things. She screws up her face and says she didn't know he has kids. I tell her he has 2 and she has a look of shock and disgust on her face. She tells me I'm too young to be playing stepmom and that I'm wasting my life if I marry him. I was shocked at her rudeness and told her that I love my stepkids and I'd rather be with my boyfriend than anyone else. She says that she could never sit and pretend to love a child for a man and that she could never love a child that wasn't really hers. I bit my tongue at that since she's literally adopted and from what my mom has told me, was only adopted because my aunt is infertile, and it was something she had to talk her husband into since he was unsure. I replied and said I'm not pretending anything and that of course it took time to build a bond with them, and I understand if she wouldn't do it. She just looks me up and down and says I'm too pretty to resort to being a glorified babysitter, and that she's gonna find it funny in 10 years to watch my stepchildren disrespect me at family events and yell that I'm not their real mom, and that they're not technically lying. I told her that once I legally adopt them they'll be my children, and she had the nerve to scoff. I was shocked at her audacity and asked her if she forgot she's adopted herself. She got irate, saying a couple adopting a baby together is not the same thing as a desperate person playing stepmom and adopting kids that already have a mom and I'll never be their real mom. I said, then I guess you're not MYN's real child then. She started crying and left sobbing. When I tried explaining what happened, everyone said I was wrong and that I shouldn't have brought her adoption up for question, and I'm a major idiot, and that adopting a baby as a couple is not the same as adopting your partner's kids. They're saying I have to apologize. Am I the idiot? Everyone sucks here. Your cousin, wow. But you also wow with the assumption the children's mom would give up her parental rights so you could adopt them. What a horrible thing to be planning. You have a lot of growing up to do. Not the idiot. Many here focused on the adoption part even though it wasn't the question. It doesn't matter if it will be possible or not. Your cousin was way out of line, rude and arrogant. I would have said much worse things to them. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for not making an effort for my boyfriend's birthday? We have been together for years, and usually for his birthday, I coordinate a big party with our friends, but this year I decided not to. We welcomed our daughter, and between looking after her and going back to work, I just didn't have the energy to properly plan a party, so instead cooked his favorite food for dinner, and while we were eating he said, "Is that it?" I was really upset about this, and tried explaining how his comment had upset me, but he accused me of trying to ruin his birthday. I am by no means a talented cook, and I asked his mom for the recipe and had to get ingredients from a grocery store quite far from us, which required a lot of effort. I am not sure if I am blowing this out of proportion by being upset at him, but I just don't feel he appreciates what I did for him. Edit. I have read through a few comments and would like to answer a few questions. I did get my boyfriend a gift, but hadn't given it to him yet at the time of the dinner. To be honest, his birthday wasn't really my top priority at the time. My daughter is recovering from meningitis and I've been on edge around her. I didn't tell him about his birthday being more low-key this year. I assumed that with everything going on he'd know that. Some people are asking for our ages. My boyfriend is 30, I'm 32 and our daughter is 3 months. In terms of splitting chores/childcare, I used to do all of it, but now that I am back to work, we split chores and I do childcare. Update. Thank you so much for all your advice, and after I got home from work, we spoke about our expectations for birthdays going forward. I apologized to him for not communicating very well about what his birthday would look like and for assuming he would know that I was not throwing him a big party with all of our life changes. He told me that he knew it would have been scaled down, but thought there might have been a smaller party, with a few close friends as it was the big 30 for him. I am not a birthday person. The last proper celebration I had was 21, and since then I have always opted for a birthday dinner outside the house with a few friends. My boyfriend has always been more outgoing than me and prefers celebrating with a big group of friends and family. When we spoke, I realized that I was honestly more upset that I felt underappreciated in general, and I was struggling to cope with all of my new responsibilities. My boyfriend apologized for not noticing, and we have agreed to split responsibilities more evenly. I was quite annoyed that he didn't realize how much I struggled or the stress I felt and offered to help at all, but I know that I have a problem with asking for help sometimes, so it is not completely his fault. Not the idiot. New moms absolutely get a pass on all sorts of things, and he's being a baby now. Yes, it's really dislocating to have both of your worlds now centered around your daughter, and not just each other, but he needs to be much more understanding here. You did fine. Not the idiot. Could you have been more upfront and given him a heads up before his birthday that you didn't plan a big blowout party? Sure, but he definitely knows all you put up with between working and caring for a brand new human being. The level of anger on his part is just obtuse. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.